We'll start with this as I take you live to Cape Town. Parents of pupils at Brackenfell High School in the city have clashed today with members of the EFF. The party has been demonstrating outside the school over alleged racism at the institution. We begin our bulletin with reporter Ronald Masinda, who is live with the latest. Ronald, good afternoon to you. Why is the EFF upset and what have parents been saying?
Well, according to the economic freedom fighters here in the Western Cape, they are upset, Jeremy, because they are led to believe that the school staged a matric ball without any black learners from the institution. This has, of course, been vehemently denied by not only the Western Cape Education Department, but the school himself. The EFF has called on the principal and two teachers who were at this matric ball to be fired. Now, of course, we are still waiting to get more clarity from the Western Cape Education Department, who are expected to release a statement soon.
And what have parents been telling you today?
Parents have been telling us that all they need to do and what they want for the school is to protect the learners who are still writing matric exams. They say that this is a very important stage in their lives. We also learned from the police that one arrest has been made of a 39-year-old white male who allegedly shot a gun. We don't know at this stage what the details are in terms of this, but we are led to believe that he's been charged with attempted murder.
And explain to us what happened during the confrontation today.
Well, today many of the parents clashed with a group of EFF supporters. Around 15 EFF supporters clashed with the parents, and we saw very ugly scenes between the two groups. And the EFF supporters have since dispersed the area. We are seeing quite a heavy security and police presence at the school that is to my far right, and people not really leaving anything to chance. We have been told by one of the parents earlier on that the EFF supporters did promise that they will come back with a vengeance. It seems like they were quite outnumbered today with, as I mentioned, 15 of them who were inside a van where we saw at least almost close to 100 parents and also former pupils gathering here fighting the EFF supporters. We saw scenes where people were pelted with stones, very ugly scenes. We haven't heard confirmation yet as to whether there were any injuries or not.
And you have a member of the community with you, I understand.
Yes, indeed. I'll bring him to the conversation. Fadiel, thank you so much for your time. Why are you here?
Well, I came to observe. I came to observe the madness. You know, in a country as racially divided as this one, I believe what happened today is needed so that the dialogue can start. You see, from where I stand, this might have been a misunderstanding. It might have been racism in its purest form. However, there are channels. There are places where you can go and lodge your grievance, like the Education Department, like the Human Rights Commission. But to come out here and intimidate and stop people from writing the exams, that is just criminal.
So you're not in support of the EFF's actions, or are you in support of the community though?
I am here to observe. If I was to support anyone, I would support the parent protecting his child's right to education. The days of liberation before education are long over. Education is a necessary tool. You see, the EFF must realize that racism is not the #1 problem in this country. That racism will die. Eventually, we will all be integrated, no matter what the right-wingers say. Poverty is the #1 crime in this country. Where was the EFF's protest when Julius and Floyd were robbing banks? VBS. When they were stealing from widows and orphans, black widows and orphans, poor people. Where was the protest? Where was the action? It was nowhere. You see, the EFF chooses its battles. And racism, as I would say, is relevant. This is the sad part, and the sad thing in this country is that a man like Malema doesn't understand that minorities will not be pushed around by a man who leads a minority party. Malema doesn't speak for this country.
Has the Western Cape Education Department handled this matter in a proper manner?
I believe that Debbie Schaffer should have been fired long ago. I don't believe she's handled this in the right manner. The minute this thing raised its head, we needed a statement. It never came. The reason we're here today. But like I say, this was needed so that we can all understand that violence will beget violence. That if you try and intimidate, it will end violently. We need to talk, guys. It's the only way out.
All right, Jeremy, that's where we have to leave it for now. We've also been told that we are still waiting for that statement from the Western Cape Education Department, who've distanced themselves from the scenes that we've seen here. The scenes that we saw here also played out on Friday when EFF members were gathered outside of the school.
All right, Ronald Masinda outside Brackenfell High School. We then await for that statement from the Western Cape Education Department, and we'll get back to you a little later on in the program.